Hey, welcome friends. It's great to have you here with coffee and waffles. Waffles, how are you? Huh? Are you a little uncomfortable? You're trying to squiggle. Here, come here. Say hi to the folks. Say hi to everybody. Say welcome. Welcome to Coffee with Waffles and Len. It's so good to have you here. Yes. You're such a good doggy. You're such a good doggy. Hey, look what I've got for you. What's that? Oh, happy doggy. Yes. Welcome, friends. Good to have you back. So, it's been quite a week. Couple weeks. Hurricanes. And we want to be mindful of praying and considering those who are really struggling, which gives me kind of a lead into what I want to talk about a little bit today, how we can be of use and service to those around us, to be good neighbors, to, as I like to say at the end of every video, be good to others. So stick around. Hey, I want to break in here and say to you, if you like these videos, would you like and subscribe and share? I love that I spun these off from my other channel to make a channel dedicated to giving faith encouragers on how to grow and be like Jesus and live well in our culture. And I would hope that you would like those as well. And so a way you can help keep these going is by subscribing and sharing and commenting and doing all the things that help grow a channel. I would appreciate that, and I know that in time you will as well. And if we could share these with others, they will too. All right, back to our video. All right, had to pause there a little bit because a car was parking next to me, and it's a little awkward to film in your car, sitting out here in the middle of the parking lot. Although with behind me, you may not realize I'm in a parking lot. But as I've said on some other videos, the Starbucks here is located right next to this open space behind me with a pond and a fountain and alligators, and you know, it's South Carolina, and that's just the way it is here. It's beautiful. Today is a cool morning, and you can see I'm kind of in my little, I don't know, it's a cheap fake fabric, you know, whatever. But it's fluffy looking, so it's nice and a bit warm. It's 58 degrees outside, which isn't super cold. But, you know, when we're coming off of summers where it's 90 degrees and 80 degrees and, you know, 58's starting to get a bit chilly. Hey, Waffles loves her ears scratched, doesn't she? She's just enjoying that so much. All right. Hey, so I would like to just talk a little bit today about something that will jumpstart our spiritual growth. You know, sometimes we are influenced by our culture and our society, and I've talked a lot about that in some previous videos. Who's influencing us? Who's shaping us? Who's, to use the church word, who's discipling us? And the goal for a believer, of course, is to be shaped and discipled by the Bible, by God's Word and His wisdom for us on how to live well in our society, to live well in our relationship with Him, and to be part of His family. And so one of the ways to jumpstart our growth is to serve others. We are shaped in our culture. Well, let me just say this. When I was a kid, and that was ages ago, long time ago, when I was a kid and you'd watch the news, they would use a phrase often about people in our culture and our society. They would say citizens. Citizens today, a number of citizens. That was the word. And I've noticed over time, you don't hear that word used much, except for maybe around elections. You don't hear that word so much. You hear them now refer to the population of our country as consumers. We're consumers, and we are a capitalist society. We're based on growing businesses and having incomes and doing, you know, all the different reports and stock markets and all that stuff. And so consumerism is at the heart of our culture and our society. The problem is that's not how the Bible describes how mankind should be, how humanity should be. The Bible refers to us as different than consumers. We're not here to consume. We're here to, well, as Jesus said, he said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve others. So consumers are looking for what they can receive, what they can take, what they can buy, what they can gather. But a servant, a follower of Christ, is one who's looking to make a difference in the world, to give out to others. Now, of course, people who are not followers of Jesus still understand the value of volunteering and serving others. But primarily, it is a distinct personality trait of a follower of Christ to serve others. And so when we bring our cultural, secular worldview of being a consumer into a church, that's when we begin to say things like, well, that church isn't really serving me well. I don't really like that style of worship, or they don't have the best kids program, or I'm not really getting anything out of it. And even if you are serving, sometimes you do have to say maybe that's not the best fit of a congregation or a church for you. I'm not trying to be black or white, all or nothing. But I am saying that as we want to grow in our faith, we have to realize that it's not about us all the time. It's about what we bring to our church family, to our community. And Paul writes in his letter to the Corinthian church in 1 Corinthians 12, he begins to teach the followers of Christ about how we all have spiritual gifts. That when we become a follower of Christ, we have been given gifts for what? It says here, a spiritual gift is given to each of us to help each other. Another translation says, for the common good. We have been given unique spiritual gifts and abilities to make a difference in our church family, in our greater community, for the common good, to make a difference in our world. We're not all here to receive, we are here to give. Now, a selfish person will say, well, what about me? Who's going to take care of me? But the reality is if I'm serving you and you're serving me, both of our needs are being met. But they're being met in a way that honors the way God wired us, that honors the way God deems best to give, to let go, to serve others, to consider others. Selfishness is a surefire way to stunt our growth. But acknowledging the needs of others and finding creative ways to help other people will cause us to have this flow of God in us and through us. And it will jumpstart a spiritual growth, an emotional growth, a wisdom in a better way to live the way God calls us to live. And that's powerful for our society, for our church family. Now, I don't think that every single hour you volunteer and serve has to be done within your local church, and that you should be giving X hours a week to your local church. I don't want to make rules about this. I think, though, that we should look for ways that we can be part of our church family and make a difference, and to find ways to give into that actual congregation to support its vision and purposes in the community that you were placed. If God has put you in that church, it's for a reason, to make a difference, to grow that church family. And some people will have gifts of administration, and some people will have gifts of construction and building and financial wisdom, and some will have gifts of music and worship, and some will have gifts of wisdom, encouragement, and counseling. And when you bring all those gifts together and the way it can impact your actual congregation and the broader community that church is placed in, wow, what incredible things can be done when we pool our gifts and our resources and our talents together. And that's a better way to live. That's a powerful way to live. I've heard people say over the years, church just didn't work for me. God doesn't work. And that's because we go in looking to what we can receive and how it can help us. And I think that when we go in instead to say, how can I become like Jesus and make a difference in my world? That's when I jumpstart spiritual growth. And that's when I begin to live the way of Jesus. The way of Jesus is to live well with others, and to serve others, and to love others, and to bless others, and to give to others. And not be as concerned about how we will be taken care of. But when we are, and the reality is we may be in a group of selfish people who aren't giving back to us, and that's a problem. But when we are more concerned about finding a relationship that is circular and cyclical and all the other words I can find for that, when it's mutual love and service of one another, that's the higher way. That's the better way. So, going back to my initial thing about people who are struggling with the hurricane effects. Man, get out there and get involved and do something. Yeah, send those $5, $10, $1,000, however much you have, to the various organizations that are out there serving. But man, if you can do something practical to get boots on the ground, as they say, maybe not Helene and Milton, but there's something in your area, some actual need in your community that you can get involved with. Man, I just encourage you to do that. Grow your faith by serving others. Don't take in our culture's value of being a consumer. Instead, take in the Jesus way of being good to others. And so with that, I'm going to sign off and say, be good to others. You're such a good doggy. You're such a good doggy. Yes. Yes, you are. Oh my goodness.